Welcome to UK Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. It's Trevor here with you on this episode, and I'm joined today by my guest Marie Hale. Now, Marie is a marketing visionary with more than 20 years experience in marketing and sales. She's the CEO and co-founder of @Revenue and the president of Forward Revolution, as well as being an international speaker. So she's a very busy lady, but she knows her stuff. So far, she's enabled her clients to net more than $800 million in new revenue in the last 5 years. And she's also passionate about empowering people and starting a revolution. So she's here to tell us more about that. It's Marie Hale. Welcome to the show.
Trevor, thank you. I'm honored to be here.
It's great to have an opportunity to chat with you. As I said before we started recording, looking through your bio, you're very involved in lots of different things in all the good areas, I would say. Certainly you're passionate about people, which is the key kind of element to have as the foundation, but you're also good at processes, strategies, and things like that as well, which everyone in business knows or should know that they're the important parts that you need to have working. Maybe before we kick off into some of the nitty-gritty of marketing and strategies and all of that, share a little bit about your journey, if you would, just sort of what's brought you through the 20 odd years or so where you can now help people like you do.
So I have been entrepreneurial since I was 22. My father thought I would make an excellent union secretary, and I disagreed. So I opened my first company, which was a belly dancing agency at 22. Not sure why that was the right pick, but it was the right pick because it started me on my journey and really showed me that I've got choices, which a lot of people forget that they have choices as they're coming up through their careers and through university. From there, I had the great opportunity to be the executive director of eWomen Network, which is a marketing and media organization for women, and grew them from 12 to 350 members in the Chicagoland area. And okay, I'll tell you the truth. I was 26. I had no business leading this group of 40, 50, 60-year-old businesswomen, but I also have no shame. So I was up there doing my thing. And what I noticed was, at best, there were a lot of random acts of marketing. Buckshot approach, no KPIs, no building one piece on top of the other. And so I was seeing all of these brilliant, brilliant people not advancing in their careers the way that they should, simply because they didn't have a strategy and they didn't have tracking mechanisms. And so I found, one, a really great sales coach, and two, a CRM. And I fell in love. I said, okay, this takes the people and the processes and gives it a space where you can rely on the data in order to be able to inform good decisions. Keep your head on your shoulders as you're growing and scaling a business when the white noise can absolutely overtake you. And truly understand where to troubleshoot and bring your organization up to the kind of sales language that it needs to be speaking in order to get the kinds of clients that you want, because you can see where things fall out of your pipeline, and you can see the when you debrief after a sales call. This is a miraculous thing. Very few people will sit down after a sales call and go, okay, what went right and what went wrong? What did I notice? Mm-hmm. But when you start really looking at sales through a filter of professional love, or being 100% committed to understanding and being wildly curious about what it is that that person needs that you might be able to fulfill, you uncover things that get you more than clients. They start building relationships and start building evangelists. And that data can be used to help you get more clients that are like the clients that you love the most. But you've got to be thoughtful, and you've got to be there for the human and not the transaction.
Yeah.
So from there I opened my my first marketing firm, which was Lipstick Logic, which was great. Most of my clientele was male. They thought I had a secret, and I let them think that. And in 2016, I rebranded with my sales coach and now life partner, Jim, and we brought his sales curriculum and my marketing agency under the same roof to create a hand in glove experience. And being able to provide that level of CRO insight and visibility to SMBs has been completely game changing, because usually sales and marketing point at each other from across the hall.
Yeah.
Bringing them together and allowing the humanity and the purpose to inform each side of it allows small businesses to scale and to be truly connected to the clients that they serve. Because hopefully you've got a bigger mission than filling a piggy bank in the Cayman Islands.
Absolutely, yes. We'll get to the revolution aspect very shortly as well, because I'm intrigued to hear more about that as well. But I like kind of tying in with what you said there. You say sales is a love language, isn't it? It's the people aspect, making sure you get the right solutions of what they actually need. And it's such a key point, because I think a lot of the time we get lost in the activity of targets. If we have got KPIs, that's what we're looking at, and we're not so much, or we can depersonalize our activity when it comes to the actual person that we're talking to. I guess is one of the challenges, or one of the reasons for that, really time, because relating to people, connecting with people does generally take a lot more time if you do it right, than a quick call. Yes, they've signed the contract, hey, on to the next one, kind of thing. Is that a fair assumption, or have you seen other things?
I don't think it's necessarily time, because when you have a good sales process and you understand how to ask the right questions and get down to what is emotionally compelling for that individual, it organically builds relationship. Sales is the first ambassador of your brand. So if you are going out and having conversations with people that are transactional, they're going to assume that you are transactional in how you do business, and that they're just one of many that could be of value one day or not. But when you really look for what's compelling to someone, and a compelling reason is personal and emotional, and only sometimes is it financial, now you understand why they need to make this change, why they're going to commit not only time, but resources and money to making a change. Now you've got a relationship to build off of, and it doesn't take any more time than the traditional sales call. You just have to make sure that your give a crap isn't broken.
Yeah. So would you say, because one of the things you touched on about kind of debriefing after the sales call, is that where one of the elements where the sales and the marketing kind of blend better, because they're talking to each other of what's working, what isn't? How can we then kind of, pitch is probably not the best term to use, but how can we then kind of present our services, products, whatever it is, in a better way? How, I suppose the bigger question is, how have you managed to bring those two things and synergize them, if you like, in the way that you help clients?
So a large portion of what sales should be informing marketing with is the pain, fear, and gain motivational factors that they're hearing in their sales calls. Pain is the most motivating decision-making factor in the world. Fear, a close second. Gain, less than 3% of sales are based strictly on gain. So if you're out there selling Snuggies, you're not going to have a business that stands the test of time. Yes, they were able to convince an entire world to wear a robe backwards. amazing. But this isn't the types of businesses that we're seeing thrive. And so as you are, as a salesperson, when you are debriefing and when you are being thoughtful about what that person actually showed up with, those pain and fear indicators should be what fuels the marketing, especially the content that's put out there. Because if we all stay in the warm and fuzzies, what we've done is we've missed the opportunity for someone to self-identify in the material that we're putting out there. And then you come up across the very tough standard now, especially since COVID has come and given everybody a joyride, that communication and your ability to influence is only 7% words.
Yeah.
38% of that tonality and is tonality, and 55% is body language. And when you're looking at your marketing strategy, you can't, not everything can be a live video. Video gets great traction, but it's simply not there. So even when you're looking for things like imagery, you're looking for body language that conveys a specific pain or fear experience, because that allows you to layer body language into what would otherwise be 7% of what gets through to somebody's mind. So the debriefing is critical for the salesperson themselves, because there are always steps of a sales process that we will want to skip over. Nobody likes talking about money. Nobody likes pushing back and saying, well, you're not the real decision maker, and I really need to connect with that decision maker before we can move forward. But those are the things that save you time, that save you money, and that get you to your goal. And you only grow past that head trash or that limiting belief that pops up and stops you from doing it when you can look it dead in the eye and say, man, I had that exact same thing come up the last time, and I breezed over that question that I knew I should have asked, and now I've done it again. All right, I can take a look at this and reframe and re-strategize. And this all became exceptionally critical as we came into years 2 and 3 of the pandemic, because we were dealing with a society that was in limbic fatigue. Their executive function changed because we'd all been in survival mode for so long.
Yeah.
No matter what your station in life, you lost a fraction of your lifestyle on some level. And there was fear and there was grief, and all of it compounded. And so if you weren't debriefing as a salesperson, you weren't noticing things like the inability to make decisions or retain information. You weren't realizing that people were either doing the sidestep and taking 3 times as long to make a decision, or they were globbing onto the first person that they found, putting all of their expectations on them, no matter what that person said. And then you're ending up with contracts that are just an absolute disaster because you didn't take the time to set the expectations and to really make sure that you were starting from a solid place. Those are data points that are not something that's going to appear in your CRM. Those are things that you, as a salesperson, as an owner, as a marketer, should truly care about. Because no matter who's making the decision, what the buying process is, it's a human on the other side. And if we don't pick the humans first, don't be in business. Go find something else to do.
Yeah. It really is like, just as humans, like, we're not against spending money, are we? It's like we are wired to spend money. It's just the challenge is, I guess, as much as anything, connecting the right product, the right service to the money that we're spending in a way that helps us, and helps the business that's kind of serving us as well. I think we can lose sight of that, I think, sometimes. But it was really good points that you mentioned. So you've kind of touched on debriefing the sales team, kind of getting clarity, going outside your comfort zone in the sense of asking the questions you need to, and then being honest with yourself. Actually, yeah, I didn't do as well on that call, or however you sort of you go through your debrief. You've also touched briefly on the fact of having a CRM. So from a process strategy perspective of following through, keeping track of everything. Anything else, just from a process perspective, anything else that you'd like to share that would be useful to listeners from a perspective of, if they've got a CRM, how can they best utilize it? If they haven't, why haven't they? Do they need one? What's the sort of the reasons either way? It's a broad question because there's lots of different people listening, but just generally from your perspective, how would you say?
So there are, listen, we all know that there are a million tools out there that promise you, the world. And then you put your credit card down and then, oh, I've got to put the data in. I've got to put the processes in. I've got to make this what I need it to be. And when you've got processes that are built into your organization from the get-go, and I was very lucky that I had owned my agency for 15 years before we rebranded, and we had built out our full project management system before we opened the doors. We knew how things functioned, where they needed to go, what touch points were needed, and we had the data that we needed to make sure that we could maintain consistency. And I learned this from one of my very first jobs, where they said, you have to have a wine truck backup plan. Well, what's a wine truck backup plan? If you get hit by a wine truck, how is all of this going to keep going?
Yeah.
And thank God we did, because unfortunately, my partner passed with no notice at 49, 7 months after we opened our family business.
Ouch. Yeah.
And when you think about what it takes to not only have to come back and grieve on brand so that you don't lose your clients, but keep things moving, those systems and that intense passion for process and analytics pays off in so many major ways, because we could have had all of our clients walk away because Jim sold them.
Yeah.
I could have lost the trust of my market because I had no choice but to keep the business going. And that meant if I needed to cry during a business meeting, I would simply excuse myself and then I would come back in. This does not instill a lot of confidence when you're working with companies, but it's also that humanity, right?
Yeah.
We put into our employee manual, tears happen in this office.
That's good.
If it makes you uncomfortable, that's okay. But know that we show up as we are. And as we got better and better at doing what we do, because we do have a hub and spoke organization, which means that there are typically 5 to 7 internal executive level folks and project managers, and anywhere from, well, what used to be 20 to 30 and now is more than 100 contractors and subject matter experts that are on the bench. You've got to know how your process looks and feels for them. And we do a lot of work with DISC, which is a behavioral analysis platform.
Yeah.
And we can literally customize that experience for that behavioral style, so it speaks to what's most critical to that individual. And the AI that's out there, please, for anybody that's on this, listening to this podcast, check out Crystal Knows, which is an AI that reads somebody's LinkedIn profile and provides you a behavioral assessment and a coach to coach you through sales conversations and even management of your own team. These tools are there not so that you can manipulate people, but so that you can do what is truly critical, which is speaking somebody else's language, not yours. Don't treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Treat them the way they want to be treated. And we apply that principle across every part of our organization. And when you layer the humanity and the process together, and then you constantly try, track, and change, because that is how business goes these days. We stopped using the word pivot and started using pirouetting, because we expect to just keep spinning. That gives you the kinds of KPIs and metrics that will allow you to stay ahead of the market, as opposed to being in a reactionary mode. And that's where you find some of the juiciest, funnest contracts and the clients that are out there making an impact and that are forward thinking and are visionaries and are mission driven. And your values come through at that moment. And you can make that additional human connection and still bring it back down into the KPIs. And you'd be amazed at what people will show you that indicate that they are not a good fit for you.
Yeah.
If you learn to listen. And you want to talk about saving your sales time? How about you take all the hope out of your pipeline and only have actual qualified prospects there? That's where you spend your time, with those folks and with your strategic partners, because they are going to be the ones that hold you up when everything goes wrong and hopefully tell you you're acting stupid when you are, and all of those things. It's all about people.
Yeah.
I never would have made it through had it not been for the people that loved me enough, whether they had just done business with me a little bit or had known me for years and weren't going to let me fall off a bridge. And then I had all that process underneath of me to keep me up and running and progressing forward.
It's good stuff, Marie. This is really good. Thank you for everything that you're sharing. My mind's going in lots of different directions here, just from what you're saying. It's really good. There's a lot in this as well. For everybody listening, you have to catch this episode more than once because there's so much stuff that Marie has just shared. There's layers of it. So make sure you pick something, go with that, and then come back and listen to it again. And something else will make a lot more sense. It really will. Big fan of DISC as well. Yeah. It's helped me. I also use it in some coaching and things like that as well. Within teams, it just makes a lot more sense when you realize you kind of know that not everyone's like you, but that doesn't mean that you don't think they think like you until you learn that they don't. And it's, sales, it's exactly the same, isn't it? In the home, everywhere, really, the more we understand the people aspect, in some ways, that's the skill I think that a lot of the time gets overlooked. You can learn certain strategies, certain things, and we should analyze data. We should get CRMs and all of that for the very reason you mentioned, contingency, tracking. It also helps the whole team get involved. If you're not around, somebody else can pick up. In case the client rings up and your main lead is on holiday, you're not going to ring them while they're on the beach. So you just go to CRM and all of that sort of stuff. It's useful. I think as well, one of the things that is part of the success of how you help the client scale is the fact that you've got the basics of the structure in place and then you just add to it, don't you? If you haven't got it and then you try and start to grow and scale, it all falls apart, doesn't it? There's nothing to build on. Whereas if you get the fundamentals there, then it's a lot easier to grow it as well. And for people that are listening that, I don't do data, I don't understand it, I don't do analytics. I don't personally to a huge extent. Some people are wired that way, which is again where DISC and other personality things comes in. So just because it's not your strength, get someone that understands that and they can just give you the headlines. And then you can make the decisions that you need based on that. So it all makes a lot of sense, Marie. This is really, I knew we'd enjoy our conversation. It's all really good. We haven't touched on the revolution side of it yet, and we're already having good amount of fun. So that's good. Maybe let's dig into that a bit now, because you mentioned you've had some challenges with your life partner passing as well. You've kept going. You've drawn on the kind of the support of friends as well, and the structure you said to keep the business going as well. Is that then what sort of spurred the non-profit side of your activities? How did that come about?
Oh, well, partially. So there came a moment around about October of 2020, as I was being the world's worst third grade teacher and butler and single mom and CEO, where I was really starting to see some cracks. And thank God I had an entrepreneur girlfriend kind of reach in and say, hey, you've been an entrepreneur since you were 22. You've always created your life. Why are you not making choices now? And it kind of clicked for me that, oh, I forgot I had choices. I had been trying to go through the public school system, which had me jumping on my daughter's computer every 40 minutes and trying to manage all of these different, it was a mess. And then I saw what was happening with the feminine recession. And I broke. I just broke. We lost 40 years of equity in the first 6 months of the pandemic. For every 6 months that a woman was out of business or out of work, she was losing 5 years seniority.
Wow.
And then the diversity recession, and then the degree recession. And it turns out when I get mad, I open businesses. So what I looked at is I said, okay, and this came out as absolute babble because I'm fairly sure it was part of a nervous breakdown. But I looked at it and I said, okay, if we're going to give people choices, what is it that they really need? They need mental, social, and emotional support because we've all just been through hell, and they're going to be showing up with identity issues. They're going to be showing up with just needing to know how to work on a flexible income because they've never had a budgeting issue with a steady paycheck before, right? All of these things that just said, okay, we have to first take care of the human part of this. And then we can help people stay at the edge of their industry because they need to make sure that they fill that work gap. And if you're in marketing, you've got to be hands-on because it changes so quickly. And then as we really started to look at it, we knew that we could upskill and we could help people there. But we wanted to be able to help reskill people as well, because you don't need a degree to do social media. You don't. But that's how the standards had been set. So if you were coming out of retail or food service, your choices were basically Uber or Uber if you wanted to change your life in any way. And so we created a system that is truly there to give people money and choices, which gives them power. And that's it. People don't need to be empowered anymore. They don't need to wait for it to be doled down upon them. If you want to learn how to build a website, we've got a track for you. We've got partners that have shown up like gangbusters to provide certifications because certifications increase equity. Every kind of education format that you can imagine. And then we've got recruitment partners as well as our own firm that we use to help provide work opportunities for these individuals so that they can either be doing their education and their practicum at the same time. So they're building a website while doing their personal brand so that they can move into a different direction. And we facilitate all of that. And if you want to go open your own company, that's what we're going to help you do. If you want to stay as part of the revolution and work 5 to 40 hours a week when it works for you, fantastic. If you want to go to a company, we've got all of these organizations that we've been working with, and now we've got this cadre of badass, diverse people that have been working on your marketing so the onboarding is easier and the turnover is less. And when I really started to see all of the wins that we're packing into this nonprofit, and the fact that not only could we help someone change their life trajectory, we can help small businesses and mid-sized businesses attract and retain talent because we have built in all of these benefits that typically get left out when you're dealing with SMBs. And so we bolt onto those organizations and provide them all of those resources. And what we're finding is it's giving people that are either new to the industries or that have been in the industries for a while, or even business owners, a place where they can come and incubate and try different things while getting paid to do them so that they can connect with something that gives them purpose. It gives them a place where they can custom design a life work experience as opposed to a work life experience. And they can fall in love with something, or they can say, you know what, I thought that was going to be great. I don't think so anymore, and move on to trying something else. But they've got a place where they know that they're safe. They know that they are cared for as a person first, and that we are going to provide as many opportunities as we possibly can And that's come through support from some of our partners like Fifth Third Bank and Sprout Social and Teamwork. And it's also come through partners that are still signing on in droves because they know that this is the direction that the work world is going. And we've created such an operationalization of our system that we can sell that system into another industry, and they can be the revolution of accounting or engineering. And then I get to stay in my lane and run only 2 companies at a time.
2 companies for now. There's still, you're still young. Plenty more time ahead. That's really good. I suppose there's 2 different ways that I'm thinking potentially people would want to get connected with you. So maybe I'll let you share because you'll word it better. Business owners listening, struggling with marketing, and or they're looking to invest in organizations, not for profits, that develop people.
Yeah.
How can they get in touch with you, really?
So there are two different paths. So if you are an organization that has just not been able to scale, or that is ready for scale but doesn't have the infrastructure, or that is simply seeing that their entire sales trajectory has changed and is not sure how to fix that problem, at Revolution, which is at Revenue, which is atrevenue.com, is where you'll find information about the services that we offer, from complete marketing strategies to even helping create speaker platforms with a strategy that wraps around it. And if you are looking for that diverse talent, if you need help or work, if you are a company that is looking to stand up for the diversity that we all touted so loudly, especially after the social unrest, you need to go to FWD Revolution. There are paths there for not only being part of the change, but for mentoring, adopting some of the processes and technologies, or partnering with us to provide services, or to even make those services available for your employees.
Wow.
And then, of course, we do a little social media everywhere.
Absolutely. Yes, build websites and branding and all the rest of it as well. Yeah. No, that's really good. Just from our short conversation, everybody listening, it's obvious that you know what you're talking about. You've walked the path of a small business owner, multiple businesses, for many years. You've got experience. You know what works. You've got clients that are sort of like growing and scaling up successfully as well. So there's lots of evidence that what you're talking about works. And I guess for the individual listening, it's the next step is get in touch with Marie. Find out how she can help you, how the team can kind of connect with you and work with you, if that's the right time now, or maybe it's something that you have a conversation now and you factor in the next sort of 3 to 6 months, or whatever your business plan allows for. But there's lots of different ways that you can learn from Marie and help her help you by connecting with her. But also, you don't have to make the same mistakes that other people make. There's a lot of wisdom in getting external help to kind of help us skip over and save years of banging our heads against a brick wall, or just being inefficient with our processes and how we do different things. In this day and age, we don't need to do that. But we have to be proactive. We have to connect with the right people and find out what works, really.
And Trevor, we do a tremendous amount of educating. There is always content that we are happy to share about everything from creating your own sales process within your company to how to identify the saboteurs that are bleeding money out of your sales and marketing experience through things like vanity metrics, and what to really pay attention to if you're not a metrics-minded individual.
Yeah.
it is all about finding the right fit for the right person. And one of the things that we always commit to is if we're not a good fit for each other, because we've got to be a good fit both ways, we will help connect you with somebody who we know would be a good fit for you. There are plenty of people out there that can be of service. It's about finding the right partnership for growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, which is really good. And again, that just, sums up the fact that you're in it for people, more than it's not just the money aspect. Yes, it's good to make money in business. We get empowered to do a lot more things, but it's more than that, isn't it? And I like that. I like that about you and what you represent as well. And a lot of people listening will resonate as well, because most of them didn't get into business just to get a bigger house, I'm sure. You get to the point where you want to then give back, you want to add something to the planet. I think that contributes good. We stand on the shoulders of giants, don't we? And we want other people to stand on our shoulders as well. So it's all about thinking about other people than just ourselves. This has been a great conversation. We do need to wrap it up for time at the moment, although I know we could chat about lots of other things, which has been really good. But thank you for what you've shared. Thanks for your wisdom and insight, just in this short time we've had together. There will be links to the websites below, both websites that you mentioned, for people to follow through. And we do encourage everyone listening to take action. We say it at the end of every episode because it's key, it's important. And if maybe that action is just, actually, I don't stop and think, how did that call go? How could I make it better? Or I don't know if what I'm looking at is actually helping me drive my business forward. Do I need different numbers? Do I need different analytics or different app to look at the same data? Or do I need somebody else to help interpret it? Lots of different questions you can ask. I won't put them all in your head. You've got your own questions, I'm sure of it. But there's lots of different ways that you can take action to improve your business. And then the bigger picture is you then help others as well. So thanks again, Marie. Really appreciate your time with us today. It's been great having you on the show. I think you should come back. I think you should chat more, share more of your wisdom at some point. That would be amazing.
Trevor, that would be lovely. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for sharing my message with your audience.
No, it's brilliant. It's always a pleasure chatting to people that know what they're talking about and also have a heart for people, as well as just business. It's important. Thank you for everybody listening as well. As always, we believe in you. We believe in your potential. So make sure you grow, you learn, you take chances, take risks, and keep focusing on the things that you're passionate about. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to UKAI Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.ukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.